Is it really possible to go from zero to $41+ million? Is that really possible? It's from zero to 41. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to go from zero to rich. Zero. So, and to preface it, I'm going to be like really transparent and share some of my pain and some of my shame. Because 10 years ago, I was broke. I didn't have zero 10 years ago. I had less than zero. I was living on borrowed money. I have a good friend who I'm going to be doing an event with in Dallas, Texas, tomorrow and Saturday. He loaned me $4,000 a month, all of 2013, all of 2014, while I was figuring out how to get back on my feet after getting the absolute wind knocked out of me. And from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 so far, as of last night, doesn't include the money that came in today, okay, we generated, I gotta put my glasses on so I can see this number. I don't know what I did with them. I just had, oh, okay. So, this is how much we generated. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, so far, as of last night, not including the money that came in since I went to bed last night. $41,375,946. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, so far, as of last night. Now, how in the world did we do that? I'm going to read a verse to you, and then I'm going to extrapolate. I did a whole Bible study on this verse before, but I mean, this is going to be different, okay? And here's the verse. It says in Deuteronomy, and you already know the verse, but I want to show you something that's really mind-blowing. It says, Deuteronomy 8:18, it says, "But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee the power to get wealth. That is he that that he may establish his covenant with which he sware unto thy fathers as it is this day." So first thing, before I even let me read a couple more. Verse 19, "And it shall be, if thou do at all forget that the Lord thy God, if you forget the Lord thy God, and walk after other gods, and serve and worship them, I testify among you this day that ye shall all perish." Okay, now, what does it say in verse 17? And thou, he's warning them in verse 17, don't say this. "And when thou say in thine heart, my power and the might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth, thou shalt remember that the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee." So God is warning them about making the mistake of thinking that they did this. I get it. You did some of it. You did the part you could do. See, like you saw something, and then you did something about what you saw, right? But you know how to make yourself look, but you don't know how to make yourself see. So God gave you the power to see the thing that you looked at. You know how to make yourself walk, but you don't know how to make your legs work. So God gave you the power to do the walking. You know how to make your hands hold, like you know how to hold something, but you don't know how to make your hands hold, right? You know how to hold something. I know how to hold something in my hand, but I don't know how to make my hands hold. There are people whose hands don't hold. And so God gave me the power to hold, and he gave me the power to walk, and he gave me the power to see, and he gave me the power to think. So even if you did it, even if you build a business, and you build a successful business, and you generate lots of leads, and you generate lots of revenue, and you generate lots of profit, and you built a multi-million-dollar business, here's the reality. You didn't do it by yourself because a whole bunch of stuff you did you couldn't have done unless the Lord gave you the power to get that wealth. So I'm going to tell you something about wealth. I'm going to tell you a couple things about wealth people don't know, and then I'm going to give you, I'm going to show you, I'm going to break down this power to get wealth into its subcomponents. Okay. First thing we're going to say is this. Wealth is, in fact, I'm going to write it on the board. Wealth is a high energy result. So wealth is a high energy result. Because everything is energy, and energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just changes form. So wealth is a high energy result. So if you're going to create wealth, you have to operate from a place of high energy. What kind of energy, everybody? High. Talk to me. High energy. Okay. So there's a physics principle. Here's what the physics principle says. No high energy result will ever flow to a low energy source. By the way, it's interesting. It says you shall remember that it's the Lord that gives you the power to get wealth. Well, what is power? Power is energy. Like some people call like electricity, they call it the power company. The electric company, they call it the power company. Some people call it energy, right? But it's the same thing. So it's the Lord that gives you the power. It's the Lord that gives you the energy. Wealth is a high energy result. No high energy result will ever flow to a low energy source. That's why you have to become hyper intentional about everything that you say, because the words that you speak have energy. And that energy is telling the world something about you, whether you match what they are looking for. So wealth is a high energy result. So like you take a 747, like a 747 jumbo jet, it holds, I think, 419 people, which is a lot of people on an airplane, right? It's like a small town. And fully loaded, a 747 weighs 986,000 pounds. Now, that doesn't seem like like when you see 987,000 pounds, the first thing you think is not, you know what, I think what I'll do is see if I can get this 986,000 pounds 5 miles in the sky and see if I can get it moving about 500 miles an hour, right? That's not the thought that comes to your head. But when you see a 747, it always has 4 engines. It has 2 on each wing. Those engines are not lawnmower engines. They are not 4-cylinder hybrid Prius engines. They're not even Rolls-Royce W12 combustion engines. They are very, very powerful jet engines. In fact, 747s are so overpowered, if they lose 3 engines, the plane can still fly with 1. It won't fly as straight, but that's why they have 4 engines. It's quadruple redundancy, right? And so you say, Myron, what's your point? My point is, if you desire wealth, which is a high energy result, then you must become a source of what? High energy. Talk to me, everybody. A source of what? You have to become a source of high energy. So you have to become a source of high energy, and when you become a source of high energy, then high energy things will start flowing towards you. But if you're a source of low energy, then you will only low energy things will flow towards you. And some people, Myron, that sounds new age. First of all, all truth belongs to God. And part of the problem with new age ideology is they want to use the truth that belongs to God without giving the credit to the God that owns the truth. Okay? So if it's true, it's true. It doesn't matter who believes it. If something's true, it doesn't matter if somebody who's new age or old age believes it. It doesn't matter. Why? Because true is true. Right. Okay, so the other thing that I want to bring to your attention about wealth, other than being a high energy result, which means you have to start right now, today, being a source of high energy. When people ask you how you're doing, stop saying, fine. Stop saying, above the dirt. Right? How you doing? I'm surviving. You're broke. All of those are broke answers. By the way, there's no intended humor in anything I'm saying. Wow. There's no intended humor in anything I'm saying. I'm as serious as I can be. Like it's like you being above the dirt is costing you a fortune. Why? Because nobody wants to be around that. Right? Nobody wants to buy anything from that. I'm above the dirt. I'm surviving. I'm still living. No duh. That was the first thing I noticed before I spoke to you. If you were sitting up there all gray and peaked, right, eyes all glazed over, I wouldn't have said, hey, how you doing? I just called 911. Right? How you doing? I'm alive. No fake. Right? Okay. You say, Myron, what's your point? My point is, you're doing it to yourself. The path is smooth. Why do you throw stones before you? I went to the bank yesterday because I had to do some bank stuff, and I asked the young man, young dude, young, strong, has a job, which means he's making money. I said, how you doing, young man? You know. Actually, I don't. That's why I ask you how you doing. Because I don't know. I didn't say that though. I said, you know what? Like, I'm not 100% today. I'm going to let him get away with that. Okay, so wealth is a high energy result. The second thing I want to bring to your attention about wealth that maybe nobody ever brought to your attention, wealth, this is going to break somebody's brain. Wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. Wealth is measured more in time than money. Now, when you get this will change your focus. Okay? Wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. What does that mean? Okay. So let's say you make $1 million. Are you rich? It depends. See, y'all been paying attention. It depends. It depends. You make $1 million, are you rich? It depends. What does it depend on? How long did it take you to make it? If you make $25,000 a year, and there are people who make $25,000 a year, and you work for 40 years, you've made $1 million over that 40-year time period. This is 40 years. So let me ask you all a question. Are you rich? No. Okay. So you've worked 40 years, you've made $1 million, but you're not rich. But let's say you make that same $1 million. You make this same amount of money in 1 year. Now are you rich? Yes. You're 40 times richer than this person, even though you both made the same amount of money. Oh, did you get that? You're 40 times richer. What if you make $1 million a month? Now you're 480 times richer than this dude. Do you want to be this guy? Or do you want to be this guy or girl? Like, who do you want to be? Like, and see, so I am telling you, as a person who has been blessed to create a level of wealth, I'm not Bill Gates rich by any stretch of the imagination, but we're doing all right. I am telling you that creating wealth has a need for speed. Now, here's why that's been a problem for you. Because you've been warned. You've been warned your whole life about what? Get rich quick schemes. Beware of the get rich quick schemes, right? You got to be aware of that, right? Okay. Now, the word scheme means plan, so beware of plans that could get you rich quick. Okay. So, because a scheme is a schematic, which means a plan. So, beware of the get rich quick scheme. So, beware of the plan to get rich quick. I get it. Everybody who has a business opportunity is going to get you rich quick. I get it. It's not like the Bible gives some warnings about being in too big a hurry to make money. I get that. I don't have time to teach what those mean today. I will at some point, but not today. Okay. But here's part of your problem. You've been warned your whole life about get-rich-quick schemes, but nobody warned you about the stay broke for the rest of your life scheme. So you opted into the one you haven't been warned about. Am I telling the truth? And so what we have to do is we have to figure out, okay, is this how I desire to live my life? Do I desire to live my life in such a way that I'm going to live on the struggle bus my whole life when it's totally unnecessary because there are people in the world. Hey, watch this now. There are people in the world whose problems you can solve right now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to go back to school to be able to solve their problems. You don't have to go take a class. You don't have to get a certification. You just know how to solve their problem. Why? Because you went through the problem and you solved it, and now you can solve theirs. But well, I don't know. I don't want to make too much money too fast. Got to slow this thing down. It's going too fast. How many of y'all are tracking? And by the way, I know for a fact that when you get to the place and you start making some relatively decent money, you know, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, you start feeling. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. Maybe it won't happen to you, but you start having a little bit of guilt because now you have choices. And you have choices that the other people around you in your life don't have. And you can decide what time you want to get up instead of having somebody else decide that for you. And you can decide where to take a vacation and where you want to go and how long you want to stay instead of having somebody decide that for you. And you can decide what neighborhood you live in and what car you drive. And now all of a sudden you have all these choices, but everybody around you is still like, you're like, you want to go to the golf course. So you call somebody, hey, you want to go play golf? No, man, I got to go to work, man. What are you talking about? It's the middle of the week. What are you doing? How you, no. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Right. Right. And so creating a level of wealth eliminates certain constraints that you have on you right now. But the people that you love, a lot of those people that you love and like are still going to have some of those constraints. And it's going to make you feel like, well, I'm not really better than them. And you're not. And so what happens is maybe you'll do like I did in the beginning. You'll just start giving money away randomly just because you're like, well, I didn't really work that hard to make this. And it came in really, really fast. And so maybe I'll just give it away. I'm keeping it real because this was me, right? Okay, so when you understand that wealth has a need for speed, the reason I think those two breakthroughs, number one, wealth is a high energy result, is so that you become a source of high energy. You become a source of high energy at home. You become a source of high energy at work. You become a source of high energy around your friends. You become a source of high energy around your family. You become a source of high energy around low energy people, even though it makes them feel uncomfortable and they're going to attempt to make you feel guilty for being a source of high energy. Like when somebody asks you how you're doing and you say, man, I'm doing so good. If I have doing any better, I have to be 10 or 12 people just so I can stand it. They're going to look at you like, what's wrong with you? Right? How you doing? Utterly fantastic. Better now that I'm talking to you. People will look at you like you're strange. They'll laugh at you. But if you say something ridiculously depressing, everybody will act like it's normal. Test it. Test it. Right? So, all of that to say this. How can we use this power that God has given us to get wealth to go out and get the wealth? Well, before I tell you that, let me show you some stories in the Bible of some people who, when they got rich, it didn't take forever. So, like 2014, 10 years ago, I was broke. Hey, 10 years ago, I was broker than broke. 10 years ago, everybody say 10 years. 10 years ago, I was sitting on my patio in my rented house because I couldn't buy one because my credit was too bad. And the only reason I was able to rent a house is because I put down first and last month's rent and a security deposit. That's how bad my credit was. My credit was like a 5-something 10 years ago. And I think it was like 530 something. It was really bad. I had just gone through like a short sale and a repo. It wasn't really a repo, it was more of a mepo. And my car got me possessed. You say, what's me possessed? So repossessed is when they come get it from you. Me possessed is when you just take it back to them. Where y'all want me to bring this car, right? Okay. I'm keeping it real. It was not a fun time in my life. I can laugh about it now, but I wasn't laughing about it then. I was literally working my head like a little baby, right? Crying. Why am I telling you this? Because 10 years is going to go by whether you get rich or not. The next 10 years is going to go by. What are you going to do with it? Well, let me just show you a couple of stories really quickly. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm just going to show you a couple. Here's what it says. It says in Genesis chapter 12. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house into a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation. And I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Okay, so cool. Then we're going to go here, next chapter 13. Verse 1, and Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle and silver and gold. Wow. God called him. He yielded to the call. The next chapter tells us he was rich. Now, I don't have any magic blessings for you. I'm not going to tell you if you sow a seed into my life, God's going to make you rich. I'm not going to tell you that, if you do certain... No. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you apply wealth principles, they're not going to stop working just because you applied them. Are y'all tracking? Like wealth principles are like, oh, no, it's Myron. I'm not going to work for him. I work for Tim, but not for Myron. Wealth principles don't care. Principles are God's automation. God set up principles so they would do what they do without him having to use any of his effort. How many of y'all tracking? Say yes. Yes. Okay. So here's another one of my favorites. 1 Kings chapter number 3. This is so... I want you to notice the wording too. Notice the wording. So this is King Solomon. God came to Solomon and said, ask what I shall give thee. Solomon said, dear Lord, give me the wisdom to do the thing you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves the people you put me here to serve. And then it says, and the speech, verse 10, 1 Kings 3:10. 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 10. And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked long life, asked for thyself long life, neither hast thou asked riches for thyself, nor hast thou asked for the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Not I will do. I have done according to your word. I have done according to your word. I've done it. I've done according to your word. To your words, lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also, not I'm going to, I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all these. He said, because you ask for understanding to discern judgment, I've already given you so much wealth that there's no kings like you after you, neither shall any arise like, none before you, and none will arise like you after you. That's some serious power to get wealth. So what is this power? So now I'm going to break it down. Y'all ready? We're going to go from, how did Myron Golden go from being broke as a joke and ready to choke, living on borrowed money 10 years ago? How did he go from in the last 2020, 21, 22, 20, 21, 22, 23, and half of 24, in the last 4.5 years, $41 million in revenue. How's that even? Does that sound unnatural to anybody besides me, or is it just me? It sounds pretty unnatural, right? I'm going to show you. So here's what I realized. Okay, what are the things, the awarenesses, and the intentions that I received from God that resulted in this massive, rapid wealth creation experience, not events. Okay, one, the power to get wealth is number one, it is the power of pain. P-A-I-N, pain. I added the E just in case there's anybody here whose last name is Payne. Okay, no, I don't know why I added the E. So the power of pain is part of the power to get wealth. What does that even mean? Okay. One of the reasons people don't get wealthy is because they don't have to. They are so comfortable where they are right now, and they've been so comfortable their whole lives, they don't have enough pain to move them off of square one. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, being wealthy would be nice, but it's not necessary because I'm already all right. I've said this before, I'll say it again. One of the biggest things that keeps people from $250,000 a year is $500,000 a year. Is $100,000 a year. You get to 100,000, and here's what you are. You're a $100,000 baller, little b, but you think you're a big B. I'm not making fun of anybody. I was that guy. Then you get to $250,000. You know what? $250,000 is about a little over $20,000 a month, right? So when I say $250,000, let's think about it like we make money, right? A little over. That's like $5,000 a week. $5,000 a week. Imagine taking home $5,000 a week. How many of y'all, honestly, if you're taking home $5,000 a week, you'd feel like a baller? Come on now. I felt like a baller when I was taking home $5,000 a week. I'm like, I'm a baller. Little B, baby. Little B. Little B. That's a little B. That ain't a big B. $30,000 a month. $30,000 a month is $360,000 a year. You sure enough feel like a baller at 30. I can remember, and I don't generally get embarrassed, but I was a little embarrassed for about a half a second before I got enlightened. I was at a Robert G. Allen wealth retreat, and he asked for testimonials, and I had a testimonial. Hey, Robert G. Allen, I have been listening to your material and reading your material for years. I used to be a trash man, making $6.25 an hour. Now I'm the cash man. I make 6 figures a month. I'm making like 30,000. I wasn't making 30,000 a month. I'm making 30,000 a month. My expenses are 5,000 a month. I live like a king. You know what he said? That was my testimony. You know what he said? He's like, wow, you're about to have a breakthrough to the really big money. And there were 700 people there. I'm like, and my first thought was, did he just diss my 30,000 a month in front of 700 people? Like, no, I'm serious. I was a little taken back. I was the richest person I knew till I got in that room. I wasn't the richest, but I was one of them. I knew a couple people richer than me, but I was one of them. I mean, I was a baller, little B, thought I was a big B, because when you a baller, little B, and there ain't no other baller, little B, you feel like, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And so he said that to me, and first I was a little irritated, I was a little embarrassed, I was a little taken back, and then all of a sudden it hit me, wait, there's a level of wealth where 30,000 a month is not any money? There's a level of wealth. I want you to think about it. $30,000. You got to understand, I've never had a job where I made more than $30,000 a year in my life, ever. So I'm making more a month than I used to make a year, and I'm still a baller with a little b. And I asked Bob Allen. He's Bob Allen, baller with a big B. He said, no, you about to break through. I'm like, I thought I already broke through. And you telling me I ain't even in the neighborhood yet. Right? So sometimes we have to get around somebody with a different perspective, with a deeper awareness, so that we can be enlightened, so we can see what they can show us what they've seen, so we can see more than we've seen. Y'all tracking? And so, okay, I'm like, by the way, that was a transformational moment for me in my life. So some of y'all just don't have enough pain in your life. See, I had so much pain. Like, I knew what no felt like. I knew what it felt like when life told you no. Like, I knew it. I knew what it was like for people to make fun of you because you were poor. Even before I realized I was poor. Right? Okay. So, pain. The power of pain. It's like Damon John's book. Damon John wrote a book called The Power of Broke. Has anybody read that book? That book will change your life. You know why? Because it'll make you realize that it doesn't take money to make money. It takes awareness and some intention and some decisions. Anyway. So the power of pain. The pain of reality. Life doesn't always give you what you desire. How many of y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Sometimes life is hard. And so the reality of the fact that this is real. When my wife was 8 months pregnant with our first child, our water and our electricity were both disconnected at the same time. As a man, that was painful for me. When my first child was born, I was on welfare for 4 months. And I remember the welfare office person saying to my wife while I'm in the room, like I'm just a spot on the wall, oh, we could give you more money if he wasn't in the house. That was pain. See, you haven't had that pain. You haven't had enough pain in your life to create enough spark to go create wealth. Okay, the pain of reality. The pain of relationships. You know what's really awesome about God? I remember when I was reading the story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel chapter 3. And Nebuchadnezzar said, I'm going to give y'all another chance to bow down to this idol of me. But if you don't, he said, I'm going to heat the furnace 7 times hotter than it's ever been heated. I'm going to kill you 7 times deader than anybody's ever been killed. I mean, their response that I ain't bound down to your idol made this man lose his mind. I'm going to kill you 7 times deader. Like, if you're going to throw him in the fire, pretty much the degrees of heat of a fire, the lowest or the hottest is going to kill you. Unless you're dealing with God fire, because in the Bible there's 3 different kinds of fire. There's the fire that burns. That's the kind that Elijah called down from heaven and consumed the captain and his 50. There's the fire that don't burn. That's the fire that talked to Moses from the burning bush, but the bush was not consumed. And then there's the most unique fire in the Bible. I call it the fire that burns some folk and don't burn other folk. That's from Daniel chapter 3, where the most mighty men who were in Nebuchadnezzar's army threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire, and the fire was so hot it killed the men that threw them in, but they fell down bound in the midst of the fire, and it only burned off their robes. What? You say, Myron, what's your point? They said, our God whom we serve is able, and he will. I love about God, something we find in God that we don't find in any other person or in many other people. He's both able and willing. See, you got a lot of folk in your life who are willing to help you when you're in need, but they just ain't able. You might know a couple people in your life who are able, but they don't like you that much. They just ain't willing, right? But in God, we find both willing and able. And so the pain of relationships is relationships are hard because other people aren't you. Right? If you want to know how hard it's going to be for you to control somebody else, think about how hard it is for you to control you. All right. I rest my case. Defense rests, Your Honor. Okay. So the pain of rejection. For me, the pain of rejection was a great pain in my life growing up because I had this brace on my leg and I couldn't run, so I just got picked last when we were playing games. Like, not with my brothers, I didn't because they had compassion, but I knew if they didn't pick me last, they weren't picking me last just so they wouldn't pick me last, right? Nobody wanted me running a touchdown. Why? You can't run, you ain't running a touchdown. It don't matter what you're running, you ain't running, right? Anyway, like the pain, sometimes you need to have the pain of rejection so that you can go do something that causes you to accept yourself, even though other people rejected you. And then it's like, accept me or reject me, I'm gonna sleep good tonight, regardless, right? So you don't have enough pain, okay? So the power to get wealth is the power of pain, but also, and I think this one's even more important, it's the power of purpose. If you're gonna get rich, you're gonna find your wealth in the arena of purpose. And purpose is the thing you were made for. Like you were created for a specific purpose to serve a specific group and kind of people to a specific end. And God has equipped you uniquely to do your thing. I was watching this video this morning. Alex Hormozy was talking about this girl that that built $1 million business with 5,800 Instagram followers. But it was very niche. She taught registered dietitians how to bill insurance companies. $1 million business, $1 million in profit. I'm like, okay, you don't want me teaching registered dietitians that. Right, it sounds funny, but here's what we do. We see somebody else making money doing something, and we say, I'm gonna do what they're doing because it makes money. But it's not your purpose. And so if it's just because it's profitable for somebody else, doesn't mean it's gonna be profitable for you if it's not your purpose. So I am generally very coachable until the point where I become not coachable. And usually when I become not coachable, it's highly intentional because I know it's not my purpose. That's me. I'm not making an excuse, I'm just telling you. So I joined Russell Brunson's $50,000 a year inner circle. Back then it was $30,000 when I joined. Now it's $50,000. And one of the things he kept saying over and over, do a webinar a week, every week for a year. Do a webinar a week, every week for a year. And I'm like, do a webinar a week, every week for a year. And every time I got ready to do a webinar, I'd do it and then make some money. I'm like, I hate this. I'm going to tell you something. I hate doing webinars. I hate them. I don't hate them. I don't hate going. I don't hate attending them. I hate doing them. I don't like creating PowerPoint presentations. I hate that. I don't like talking to a bunch of people I can't see. I hate that. So it's so interesting how God has to put you in a place sometime to discover your purpose. But I'm like, I'm not doing a webinar every week. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Why? I don't like it. And I know that so you say, well, does that matter, Mike? It doesn't matter most, but it does matter some. You have to build your business in a way that it serves you at the highest level, so it gives you the energy and bandwidth to serve your clients at the highest level. If you're doing something that you hate to do, how long will you really do it? Will you persist when it gets difficult? When it becomes difficult? Will you persist when it seems like it's not working for you and it's only working on you? You won't if you don't like it. Like, I don't like doing webinars. Guess what I still don't do this day? I don't do webinars. Why? I don't like, if I do a webinar, it would be more of a Zoom meeting. I like Zoom meetings because I can see people's faces. Then I can tell if what I'm saying is making sense to more than just me. But if I'm talking to a computer screen, and I'm type 1 in the chat, what does that mean? I like everything about it. I just don't like it. I know. I think webinars are great. I think they work very, very well. I know a lot of people made a fortune doing webinars. I just don't like doing them. Why would I build a business where every day or every week I've got to do something I hate just so I can make money? All good money ain't good. Okay. So you discover your purpose. How do you discover your purpose? Your purpose, you're going to find at this intersection. So you're going to find something that you're good at. This is your proficiency. Proficiency. I think I spelled that right. Proficiency. That's your proficiency, what you're good at. And then, actually I did that wrong, so let me move this. I'm going to move this guy because I can. I'm not writing it again. Okay. This is, I love a digital whiteboard, digital blackboard. Okay, so this is your passion. This is the thing you love to do. This is your proficiency. This is the thing you're good at. So, that's the arena of purpose. Did you get it? That is the arena of purpose. The place where your proficiency intersects with your passion. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. I used to think that meant if I delight in God, then he's going to give me what my heart desires. But I matured to discover that when I delight in God, he gives me what to desire. And when he gives me what to desire, then he gives me what I desire because he desired me to desire it in the first place. God is not in the habit of frustrating his children. If ye being evil know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your heavenly Father give good things unto them to ask him? So, with that being the case, when I find my purpose, if I spend my time there, and so because I never saw anybody do this thing I do, so I didn't have somebody look, oh, I'm going to do what they did. I can't do what they did because I ain't them. And so I loved teaching the Bible. And I loved teaching business. I didn't know I could teach them both together until I started doing it, and people started saying, well, that's cool. Teach me more. I'm like, I get to do the thing I was made to do. Like, I spent decades of my life studying the Bible. I spent decades of my life studying business. I did an Instagram live, I think it was Tuesday night with David and Charlotte Mitchell. And one of the things David said, he said, you know, Myron and I, like David's in ministry, Myron's in ministry, he said, I knew Myron as a evangelist, but I didn't know he had been reading all these books on business and studying all this stuff about business. I love business. Why? It gave me the ability to fire my boss. And I don't have any outfits that match a boss, so I didn't want to and so I read all these books, learned all this stuff, applied it, figured out what worked for me, and I did it. And then I said, you know what? There's this principle in the Bible that talks about that. There's a principle in the Bible that talks about that. I'm like, oh, it matches. And so I start talking about that. I didn't know there was a niche for that. And I just said, I am going to be authentically and uniquely me, and let it open the doors it opens and close the doors it closes, and then I'll only be in rooms I desire to be in. I think about Funnel Hacking Live, which was a conference. I met you there. I think it was 2018, wasn't it, Ryan? I met Ryan, Funnel Hacking Live. I had a round table. And and so I'm sitting at this round table and I'm breaking down the principles that have become the B.O.S.S Moves book. And I'm breaking down these principles. And I think you sat at my table the whole time, or at least almost the whole time. Anyway, so I didn't know him, he didn't know me, and then we're both from Tampa. It was so odd and different. But anyway, so I'm teaching these principles and people were gathered around. So Russell asked me to speak at Funnel Hacking Live. I don't know what else to teach. I'm going to teach some business principles based on the Bible, right? Why? It's uniquely me. I get it. There are people on YouTube right now who don't think, why is this guy always talking about the Bible? Because this is not the channel for you. And it's okay. Like, I'm not mad at you. You don't like the Bible, you're not going to like my channel. But I ain't fixing to change my channel for you, because the people who like it. And most of all, it's me. I like it. And like, it's my channel. Okay, so I just want to make sure we understand each other. Okay, so the power of purpose. So the place where your passion, trust that what you're good at and what you like to do is part of your assignment. Trust that. Yeah. Trust that there are already people out there in the world who would love to pay you to do the thing you love to do. Like, how many of y'all were at Offer Mastery Live again last week? Okay, a bunch of y'all. Okay, could y'all, when I was teaching, could y'all tell I was having fun? Like, I didn't even care if anybody else, like, y'all was watching me have fun even if y'all weren't having fun. Why? Because this is what I live. I love this stuff. And I know some of you think, but if you love it, why aren't you doing it again? I don't love the stuff leading up to it. But okay, so just keeping it real. Okay. So, purpose. Discover your purpose. Discover it. Notice I didn't say, go create your purpose. You were created for your purpose. Just discover it. How do you discover it? By embracing your proficiency, the things you're good at, and embracing your passion. As long as neither of those are in conflict with truth, congratulations, you hit the sweet spot. Okay, discover your purpose. Once you discover your purpose, now you have to develop yourself for that purpose. Now, this is where the preparation comes in, right? So I'm going to tell you in real life, professionals make the lion's share of the money, and amateurs just do it for fun. But professionals who do you think's having more fun? The professional or the amateur? Who's having more fun? The professional have more fun than the amateur because they're doing the thing they love to do and getting paid. But here's the difference between professionals and amateurs. Amateurs spend 4 to 10 times as much time performing as they do preparing. Professionals spend 4 to 10 times as much time preparing as they do performing. That's why when they stand up to perform, it looks effortless, because they put their effort in before they got in the arena. So you want your effort to show, like you want your proficiency to show up, and you haven't even prepared. You thought you were ready before you were ready. Like, I used to be frustrated because I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been teaching relatively similar stuff for almost 4 decades. Like, when I was an evangelist, I taught a lot same biblical principles stuff I teach now. Not as many business principles, but I didn't get invited to many churches. I was a senior pastor at a church. I taught similar stuff to the stuff I'm teaching now, and I had people in the church who hated me. The fact that God woke me up that day, they just couldn't understand why he would do that. They didn't like me. No, they just didn't. And I'm a kind person, but I'm not nice. What does that mean? Like, I didn't pretend. I didn't go along to get along. I wasn't building a fan club. I'm gonna teach the truth. Let it do what it does. Let it fall where it falls. Right? Anyway. So I used to lament the fact that I seemed, even though I knew the stuff I was teaching was based on truth, and I knew I had studied it out thoroughly and completely, I couldn't understand why people rejected it. When I started teaching business concepts in churches, because what I was finding in the Bible, it met with so much resistance. I had a really good friend of mine, really good friend. He passed away, but really good friend of mine, beautiful, beautiful man. He was a pastor of a church. And he said to me, he said, Brother Myron, do you mind when you come to our church, just don't teach that businessy stuff. Just teach the Bible. Well, the businessy stuff is the Bible. That's the point. So I just never went back there. Not because I was mad at him. I'm not signing the banana to be one of the bunch. I'm not going to sound like everybody else because I'm not everybody else, right? So you discover your purpose, you prepare yourself for your purpose, and then you deploy yourself in that purpose. Then the power of perception. You have to have the ability to perceive principles. If you can't perceive principles, like you look at something and you don't understand, oh, this is a principle. The law of sowing and reaping, for instance, is a principle. You reap what you sow. That's part of the law, right? Of sowing and reaping. But what else? You reap later than you sow, right? Because you don't sow the seed today and reap the harvest today. What else? You reap more than you sow. You sow one seed, you grow a whole crop. You grow a whole tree or a whole plant. So you reap what you sow, but you reap later than you sow, and you reap more than you sow. So the law, that's a principle. Like if you ignore that principle, you will do it to your own detriment. For instance, you tell a lie because it's currently convenient. Are you tracking? But then when the people you lied to discover it was a lie, you've destroyed trust in a moment that could take decades to rebuild. So your inability to perceive how life works is costing you a fortune. Your inability to perceive principles is costing you a fortune. There are wealth principles. Every word is a seed, every deed is a seed, every dollar is a seed that you're sowing into the garden of your future. That's a principle. Isn't it interesting that in order to do well at business, you have to do the thing that God told you to do? Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. What does that mean? You love God so much that you don't violate any of his principles when dealing with other people, and you love other people so much that you never do them anything that would never do anything to them that would harm them. You never sell them anything that would harm them. You never do business with them in a way that would harm them, because if you do, it's like harming yourself. If you ignore that principle, it's going to come back and bite you at a very inconvenient time. So you have to have the ability to perceive principles. You have to have the ability to perceive other people's problems. If you are a miserable person, and there are a lot of them in the world, the reason you are miserable is because you're self-absorbed, consumed with self, you're selfish, because joy only comes from obsessing over other people's problems. You don't get any joy from obsessing over your problem. All you get is more depressed. I'm just so depressed that I can't help it. No, you can help it. Go help somebody else. And it's the same formula for creating wealth. What? In other words, my problem is, well, I need the money. Okay, good. Now, go solve somebody's problem who has some money, who needs that problem solved more than they need the money. Your problem is not that you don't have money. Your problem is that you've not obsessed over a big enough problem for a large enough group of people who has the money to pay to get it solved. That's your financial problem. So you obsess. Now, I want you to wrap your mind around this. Where did this $41 million come from? It came from me obsessing over other people's problems. I obsessed over their problems until I boiled down the solution in business to 4 moves. Now, here's why it's 4 moves and not 40. If it were 40, I might only remember 38. If it were 40, I might not be able to do them all. But it's 4. I can remember 4. Bless you. I can remember 4. I can apply 4. And guess what? 4 is enough. I know there was a TV show called 8's Enough. They were wrong. It's 4. It's enough. So you obsess over other people's problems. You obsess over or you perceive other people's problems. You perceive the powerful principles. You perceive people's problems, and then you perceive their payoff. One of the reasons you can't sell is because you're too busy talking about your own stuff. Don't talk, I'm not going to talk to you about my product. I'm not going to talk to you about my piece. My product being, let's say my product is my book. If I'm going to sell my book, if I'm going to sell this book, I'm not going to talk to you about the book. Because you don't care about the book. You only care, what can this book do for you? So if I say, well, buy my book because it's really, really good, and I used to be a trash man, and now I'm the cash man, and so it's a really, really interesting story about my life. 2 words come to your mind so fast you can hardly block them out. So what? But if I say, in this book, I laid out the financial literacy principles that helped me go from making $6.25 an hour, full-time with overtime. Overtime was $9.50. Full-time, to making 7 figures a month part-time. And I have a principle in here I call the money management principle of millionaires. If you only apply that one principle, just that one, you will never be broke again. Now, you've got a reason to want to read that book. You see what I did? I didn't talk about the book. The book doesn't matter. The book is only a carrier for the transformation. So you obsess, you perceive you perceive principles, you perceive people's problems, and then you perceive their payoff. And when you're talking to people, you only talk to them about what they get. Stop talking to them about what you have. Nobody cares what you have. Nobody cares what I have. It doesn't matter. They only care what they get. So when I'm talking to you about what I have, I only need to talk to you about what it gets you. Everybody tracking? Say I'm tracking. Okay, cool. So I got to go fast or do a part 2, and I'm probably going to have to do a part 2. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a part 2. I'm going to talk about one more thing, and then I've got 4 other points that I'm not going to get to today. But I'm going to talk about the power of precision. The power to get wealth is the power of precision. What does that mean? So the scripture says, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet favor to men of skill, nor riches to men of understanding. It has one more thing it says, but time and chance happeneth to them all. Time and chance are not luck. Time and chance are the place. Time is preparation, the place where preparation meets opportunity. Time and chance happeneth to them all. So I'm going to end on this story. And this is where the $41,375,900 and whatever dollars came from in the last 4.5 years. 2011, had a conversation with Dagan Smith. Dagan Smith is now and was then, back then he was one of the biggest internet marketers you could think of. He made money hand over fist. And he was uniquely Dagan. He still is. He's uniquely Dagan. Very brilliant guy. And he said to me, Myron, you are better at presenting with a whiteboard than anybody I've ever seen. He said, you do it in rooms and people just throw money at you. He said, if you do it online, it'll still work. You should take what you do in rooms and do it online. I'm like, okay, cool, that's a good idea. So the rest of 2011, I proceeded not to do it. And then all of 2012 proceeded not to do it some more. And 13, and 14, and 15, and 16, and 17, and 18, and 19. And all of a sudden, precision. I'm coming back from Israel. I've got an event scheduled in Dallas, Texas with the same people I've got an event scheduled with this weekend. I need to have a conversation with them. I just thought of something. Anyway, so the COVID propagandemic shut down all the hotels. And we had a hotel scheduled. We had already sold tickets. We had maybe 150 tickets sold. They called me like, our event's a week out. We can't have the meeting at the hotel. They canceled us. They canceled our contract. Should we give the people their money back, or should we make it virtual and sell online? Oh, make it money back? Child, please. Let's make tickets virtual, sell more tickets. We sold 100 more tickets. We did $300 and something thousand in sales. I'm like, we did $300 and something thousand in sales on the internet? This is 9 years now after Dagan Smith told me what to do. Did another event with my daughter, and we did. It wasn't 6 figures, but it was strong 4 figures, probably $50,000-$60,000. I'm like, then in 2021, started doing my challenge. I'm like, this is a thing. Sometimes you just have to be ready when you're in the right place. Because ready in the right place is what makes the right place at the right time. See, it's you being ready that makes the timing right. You've already been in the right place. So many times in your life you couldn't count them if you had the opportunity. You just weren't ready, which made it not the right time. So next time, everybody say next time. Next time you find yourself in the right place, be ready, and it will be the right time. And you can go from 0 to rich. I still have other things I'm going to teach you on part 2. So next Thursday, Next Thursday, I'm going to do part 2 of this video, where I'm going to pick up where I left off on the other. There's 4 more powers, other than the ones I already covered, that I'm going to talk to you about on how to get wealth. In the meantime, in between time, stay blessed by the best. Go apply what you've learned so far, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now. Questions, I'm going to be done because we have a plane to catch.